Thank you for tuning in to the Black and Gold Hockey Podcast. Please subscribe to our weekly Boston Bruins hockey talk on listening platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Stitcher Radio, and Spotify Podcasts. We'd certainly appreciate it if you give our show a 5-star rating along with a written review. You can also subscribe to our official YouTube channel for a video version of our weekly program. If you'd like to support our show financially, please go to our blackandgoldhockey.com website and click on our affiliated Fanatics banner before shopping online. Another way to financially support our weekly program is to become a Patreon member to be eligible for weekly Boston hockey prizes and monthly Boston Bruins hand-signed jersey giveaways. Please go to patreon.com/blackandgoldhockeypodcast and donate just $1 per episode. Many thanks for the continued support and enjoy the show.
Behind the net to Sanderson, Orr! Bobby Orr! Orr from the Boston Bruins!
30 seconds left in the period. The Bruins are shorthanded. Ray Bork from the face-off circle to the right of Reggie Woodman. Fired it down and Whitmore blew it.
Did he ever?
To Bergeron on the drive, save, rebound, he's loose, Sagan kicks him loose, Bergeron scores! The Bruins Bergeron, with the point of the dagger in their throats, they rip it out of Toronto's hands and kill the beast! The Boston Bruins have won it after being 3 down in the third!
Alrighty. Boston Bruins fans, we are back. This is the Black and Gold Hockey Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Allred. This is 278. That's the episode number. I am here with my boy, Kevin O'Keefe. Kevin, what's up, man?
Not too much, man. Freaking pumped. Let's go.
Absolutely. What a day. What a weekend. Good to be home. Some home cooking is always a good thing when it comes to the Boston Bruins. Shout out to the moms out there. Happy Mother's Day to all you fine ladies out there that do a tremendous job. Shout out to my mom, Kathy. I know she's not watching, but still got to give her a shout out. Regardless, you want to shout out Mom at all?
Yeah. Big shout out to Miss Mom. Her name is Mom to me, but you guys can call her Cheryl. So
Nice.
Shout out Cheryl.
Awesome.
Happy Mother's Day. I brought her out to breakfast this morning, so that was good.
Very cool, man. That's awesome. Yeah, it's a good day. Let's get right into it. Well, actually, no. Let's hear from show sponsor BetOnline.ag before we move any further. Our partners at BetOnline.ag continue to be the number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find all the latest sports developments, including updated odds on the playoffs, Major League Baseball, fights, and even next season's NFL futures. And don't forget this weekend, as the Run for the Roses is on at the Kentucky Derby. BetOnline.ag is a continued source for all your sporting wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino and poker games. It's super easy to get started, so head to the BetOnline.ag website today or use your mobile device to join and use our promo code CLNS50. That's CLNS50 to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline.ag, it's where the game starts. All right, we just heard myself babble about BetOnline.ag. Fantastic place to go to place a wager. I did a ton of wagers yesterday, Kevin, on the Kentucky Derby. Lost 4 hondos because of that. That horse that was supposed to come in last came in first. Absolutely blew everybody away, and all the predictions that I basically bet on. You know, just doing a lot of research and so on the horse racing. And I was going with a few horses, and this one just came out of nowhere and freaking blew my 4 hondos away.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Someone definitely made a lot of money.
If somebody, yeah, because it was 88-1 odds. Like, if you put $10 on that freaking horse, man, you came out really, really good.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely crazy. But anyway, use the code CLNS50 if you do happen to go on betonline.ag and do some gambling. But do it responsible, please. We totally appreciate that. Do it for yourself. Do it for your family. All right. Where are we going here? Where do you want to start? Because this is an unbelievable weekend. Like I said, it's home cooking. We did not do very well on the road in Carolina for the first two games. Outshot 10-3. Boston Bruins come home to TD Garden and outscore the Carolina Hurricanes at home 10-3. No, I'm sorry.
9-4.
Yes. No, the first two games on the road.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It was 10-3. So, and then we come home and the Boston Bruins on home ice, they get it done. They score 9-3. So things have definitely turned the tides here from the regular season action where they went, 3 games and outscored 16-1, and then you add those 2 extra playoff games last week. It basically, it's outscoring. Carolina's outscoring at 20-22 to whatever. But things have certainly changed on the home ice. So your thoughts on the offense and how it's responded after going down 0-2?
Huge response. One of the biggest areas where they've improved is they are getting into the dirty areas in front of the net. And that's where they've gotten a majority of, well, I wouldn't say a majority, but probably half of these goals. The DeBrusque goal, the Bergeron goal. I believe last game there was 2 goals where they just kind of grinded the puck into the net. And those are gritty playoff goals that you really love to see. It's a working hard, tenacious type of goal. And I'm absolutely thrilled with the compete that I've seen out of this team in the past 2 days. 2 games. It's absolutely incredible to watch. It's night and day. We've talked about that a lot this season, about how this team is night and day. Well, let's hope that they continue to be day, going forward here. Let's get another win. Let's get another win. I am so amped.
Yeah, and we get a day of rest before we head out to Carolina. So tomorrow, Monday night, the Bruins rested up, fly to North Carolina, play that game, and obviously the first 2 games on the road weren't great. But I kind of believe that these next 2, these 2 games that they did play at home were just a rejuvenator. Let's get back into the series. But it also sets a point that we can do this shorthanded. And right now, and before this game, Charlie McAvoy was listed out due to COVID protocols. Hampus Lindholm was injured with an upper body. We're assuming it's a slight concussion, maybe not to the extreme. Could play Tuesday night, the 10th in Carolina. So, we're getting things done without some key members, which is important. Next man up mentality has always been talked about in this organization for so many years, and we're definitely seeing it right now. And it's due to desperation. I think guys are noticing we're down 0-2. We're not out of the series, but still, there's something that has to be done that we have to dig down deeper and figure this out. And they obviously did in these last 2 games. Now, I'm not going to say that this is going to be a long cup run. I absolutely hope it is. But these are just really good signs of what could come in the future.
Absolutely. And then when it comes to the injuries, not really injuries, but injury, Lindholm has a shot to come back on Tuesday. And if he does, that is a huge boost to this team. And then McAvoy in the protocols for COVID. Let's hope that it's, just a false alarm here and he doesn't have COVID and he's right back in there on Tuesday. I was really concerned for a moment when it came to Charlie, thinking it was an actual injury. And I was kind of like, oh, my God, this sucks. But hearing that it's COVID protocol definitely eases that a bit, even though there's still a chance that he could have COVID and still miss some time here. But thankfully, it wouldn't be as much as it used to be.
Yeah, Pejman's in the house. Thank you, Pejman, for joining us.
Really,
Appreciate that. In the words of Mark, LFG. Let's fucking go, everybody. This was just a statement game for us. Great to see Jeremy Swayman jump in there for Linus Ullmark, who seems to. I really don't think that he's been struggling that much. You know what I mean? But I just think that the Boston Bruins coaching staff, Bruce Cassidy at the helm, kind of just said maybe we need something different. Obviously did not want to keep going with Linus Ullmark because of maybe some just unlucky times. But changed the net, changed the crease, and it seems like the defense responded as well. Maybe just them digging down themselves on the back end, reaching for that 110% to keep the pucks out of the net, stop the mental mistakes that have been killing them towards the end of the season, and particularly the first 2 games on the road against this Carolina Hurricanes team. But, we're just seeing real good things moving forward. And, God, I really hope that the next 3 games, I truly believe are going to 7. Mm-hmm. It just the way that these teams have been matched out. And we're seeing 2 wins for the Carolina Hurricanes at home, 2 wins for the Boston Bruins at their respective home. And then it's going to go back and forth. So it's 0-0 right now. We're just, we're starting fresh. And I just think that the Bruins need to get this victory on Tuesday night, the 10th, and to really put the hopes and the thoughts in their heads that they can do this against a very talented offensive Hurricanes team that's going to come at you in layers and really going to pinch you outside. We've seen that even in these last 2 games that the Bruins have won. The Bruins are basically a majority of the game getting pinched way out. Push and force, however you want to call it, but it's the tenacity, it's the hard work, it's the reaching down and grabbing it, and getting closer to the net for those that net front presence, and creating more opportunities just to crash the puck and create secondary opportunities for guys that are coming in layers. Blah, blah.
No, absolutely. I think this is definitely a tough series. It's definitely now shown to be pretty evenly matched at this point. Ullmark, I don't think he played bad at all. I think that, he was just on the losing side of puck luck for the Carolina Hurricanes for the most part. Bruins weren't getting it done on the other side of the ice. They weren't really keeping Carolina to the perimeter. And, I'm not going to say for all of the games, because they did do pretty well in the start of both of those games at coming out on fire, being able to push, keep Carolina to the perimeter, limit their high danger chances. I need to see. The Bruins are going to have to get a win in Carolina. We know that much. They're going to have to do it. And I think you're right. I think that Tuesday's game is, in my opinion, a must-win. Technically not, but in my opinion, it's a must-win. I do honestly think that if the Bruins win Tuesday, they're coming back home and they're winning it 4 games straight. I really do.
Yeah. Going back to the chat here, and please, everybody that's viewing, participate in the chat, ask us questions, keep feeding us. We're going to get a nice show out of this. We're doing a live stream, but we're also doing a podcast recording for episode 278, which I'm going to edit later on and get out on all platforms. So feed us some questions. Jerry H. coming in the house. Thank you, Jerry, for participating. No McAvoy, no Lindholm, no problem. Huge character win. D'Angelo should be suspended. Classless player. That's the type of shit that they do in street hockey. I did that in street hockey.
Yeah, throw your stick.
Yeah, I just throw you a stick. It's blah blah blah. It's still it's not good sportsmanship, but it's just don't do it. I mean, now you just what he did there is basically showing the whole team that they were checked out of that game at that moment. Obviously, you can't come back from 5. You lost. It's over. But take it like a man and don't act like a child.
Yeah, D'Angelo was removed from the New York Rangers roster for a reason.
Yes, exactly.
He's a good player, but he is a classless piece of crap.
All right, Jason Larati's in the house. Hey, guys, seen somewhere that Cassidy didn't rule out Zaboral for Game 5. What's your thoughts on that? I am absolutely not even sure if I saw that.
I haven't.
I don't know, because as of right now, and I know from our friend Dom Tiano, who could not join us this week due to family stuff, mentioned that when you read something on like CBS Sports and their injury reports, that they're not very accurate. But that one particularly had Zaboral not being ready for at least September 15th. So right. I don't think he'll be ready to do that. And that's an awful lot of pressure in the playoffs to bring a guy in that's been out of the game for a long time, recovering from an injury, especially that one. I think was it an ACL or MCL?
I think it was an ACL.
Yeah, so
but I'm not sure though. Don't quote me on it.
Yeah, I'm no doctor either, but I think that the one that he has is the toughest one to recover from. So I wouldn't want to rush a player like Zaboral. I'd much rather give him a little bit of confidence as he rehabs and so on, and get him to sign him to another 2-year deal. What are your thoughts on bringing Zaboral back? I know we're both high on him.
Oh, absolutely. I think Zaboral definitely needs to be back. I think he has a top 4 ceiling. And if you can have Zaboral, Lindholm, and eventually a guy like Mason Lohrei as your left side, you're sitting pretty.
Yeah. Some people take the Zaboral tire pumping to a whole new level, saying that we didn't see enough of him this past season for them to buy in that he's going to be a good player and should be retained. But what we saw after the holiday season and him being inserted due to injuries was something special. And it was like something that we haven't seen in the past since he was a first-round draft pick in 2015. But, I mean, at not a high money value or long-term, I think a 2-year would be a really good thing to kind of feel it out a little bit, but it's not a bad gamble to get him at $1.5 million to $2 million and keep him around for a little bit.
Yeah, I think. He's not going to be expensive, and it's going to be a short-term type deal. I mean, it's probably going to be in that $1 million to 1.5 range, in my opinion. I don't see him getting much more than that, just due to the fact that he was injured. He didn't really play much in Boston. He did show some stuff like we were just discussing, which was great. I think they definitely get something done. There's no reason not to. There's literally no reason not to get something done when he's proven this season that he can be very competitive for you at the NHL level, which is the reason why you drafted him in the first place. I mean, he still has that top 4 ceiling, in my opinion. Would have loved to have seen him with McAvoy, as would you have.
I know.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, it'd be great to see. I mean, and I love that Lindholm-McAvoy pairing as much as anyone. But if you could have a Zaboral, McAvoy, Lindholm, Carlo type of top 4, I mean, that would be incredible.
Yeah, I'm totally down for a Zaboral and Carlo second pairing. There's nothing wrong with that. Or even,
that too.
You know, even Zaboral with his game and the injury. Hopefully that gets all straightened out and he can come back, obviously. But even him on the third pairing is still a little bit stronger than I think what we have right now. I know Forbert's been playing really, really good lately.
Yeah.
Blocking the shots, really putting his body out there, showing his team that he cares. He's a quiet individual, but he's speaking volumes on the ice lately in this postseason. And that's what we need this time of year, is just everybody to get bought in. You sacrifice what you need to do and to win games, and it's ultimately showing up. So good on him. Wish we saw that more to begin the season and so on. But if you're saving all that for the best part of the year and the ultimate run to a championship, if you make it that far, then do what you got to do, my man.
Yeah, I mean, with Forbort, I think he's at his best when you're not noticing him. Now, that is counter to the fact that the previous game, not this game we just watched and enjoyed and loved, but Game 3, he was very noticeable, but in a good way. He was blocking a ton of shots. He was positionally sound. He was probably the best defenseman on the ice that game, in my opinion. He looked so damn good. Riley has stepped in. He's playing great. Clifton is doing what he needs to do. to stay in the lineup. Brown today, he stepped in and was able to have a pretty okay effort. So you got to be happy with your defensive depth that where your two top defensemen go down, you're still able to go out there and beat a team like the Carolina Hurricanes. And I don't want to hear it from Carolina fans. The refs. Did you watch Game 2? The Bruins were on like what? The Bruins had like 4 5-on-3s against them. They were on the penalty kill for probably more than half the game. I mean, I don't want to hear crap about that. I mean, this is a good statement win for the Boston Bruins. I'm so excited. My mind is still kind of just up in the air, like flabbergasted, about it. Like,
same here. You could tell I'm babbling my words from excitement, but I do that on the regular. So
here we are, man. 2-2.
I know, new series.
That's the 3.
To be honest with you, it's like I wasn't throwing the white towel in, and I wasn't jumping off the roof like many other Bruins fans were, going down 0-2. You're still in the series somewhat. It's how you recover from that. And obviously the Bruins in both games did well to get back into it. Now we'll see where we go here. We split. We have one home game left, and you just got to win. You got to win that home game, obviously, but you got to win one on the road too. So, like you mentioned earlier, Pejman's in the house again, coming in with a great question. What do you guys think of the PK? Thought they were unbelievable and absolutely smothering on that 4-minute 5-versus-5. And that, obviously, the 4-minute he's talking about, was that the slash to Bergeron's face?
Well, that would be the power play.
Yeah. Yeah, it wouldn't be the
4-man 5v6. I think he's talking about, I don't know, smothering and absolutely smothering on that 4-minute 5v6. Oh, he's talking about, okay, so yeah, that's not really the PK there, but
all right.
But he's talking about when they had the goaltender pulled.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the PK got better as the game went on. They definitely finished out pretty damn good. They were on top of it. And then the final 4 minutes there, yeah, that was pretty stifling. There was only a couple moments where I was kind of gritting my teeth a little bit, but they scored an empty net goal. When do they ever do that? I mean, that was great to see. So
absolutely. Brad Marchand back in the house. I mean, welcome back, sir, to the offensive side of the game. He's been a player that's, wow, Bergeron. I'm just looking at that. That was damn close to the eye. Holy crap.
Are you looking at him right now, too?
I am, too.
That guy looks like he just got punched by Kimbo Slice.
I had to stop saying what I was saying because I had to look at his eye and I can't believe how close that is. That's crazy.
He literally looks like he was just knocked out by Mike Tyson.
Yeah, exactly.
Yikes.
But back to the Marchand thing. Brad's been involved in the games negatively and positively. But it's really good to see him contribute more offensively because we need him in that threat that he provides. He's got a great shot, good speed, can cut on a dime. I'm still I get frustrated with Brad's game because of the zone entry and that backhand pass that just seems to always go to an opponent. Much like how Pasternak does his zone entries, it's very tough to watch sometimes. But very good to have Brad back in the house. And basically the production line, and I said production. I'm so sick of the perfection line crap. I made a joke on Twitter, but obviously people don't get my, candid humor, I guess.
Right.
But I said if it was called the perfection line, the Bruins wouldn't be down 0-2. And I knew that the team hasn't been, that whole line hasn't been together, and I got kind of hammered for that. But no, it's just good that these guys have gotten back together and producing. It's good to see Pasternak getting on board. That front line is what we need to drive our offense, and I hope that the second line picks up on it too. We see Taylor Hall contributing a lot more lately, which is good too, and obviously Hall is being a really good sustainable player, and it's just the secondary scoring has got to continue if we're going to, the further we go into these playoffs. And even the fourth line and third lines. I mean, the third line's kind of been a disappearing act lately.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean,
and 1/3 of it's on the 9th floor, so.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, Trent Frederick, he's just, sometimes he plays good, in my opinion. I'm a Frederick fan. Everybody knows that, but I do understand when he makes some penalties. It's kind of dumb. It's, it's unfortunate, but, I'm not going to, rate the guy over the coals and say he sucks and he was a bust and all this stuff. So I still have faith in the capabilities.
Yeah, and Wagner stepping in. I mean, what a story that is.
Another great story. The mayor from Weymouth, Walpole.
Charlie's the mayor from Weymouth.
I get those two screwed up. I mean, I honestly is surprised. I mean, not overly surprised that Wagner would get in the lineup because would be with the team. Now, I thought after the last game of the series of the season against the Toronto Maple Leafs that was a really thank you game and so on. You've been a real soldier down in Providence. You've done everything we've asked. You've been a leader. You've worked with our younger members of our development core. And, here's a thank you game. But guess what? He played freaking amazing. 11 hits and, skated well. And it just really showed that he, wanted to get back in the NHL. And now he's in the playoffs, which is, it's good on him. With the sitting of Trent Frederick, it makes a roster spot for him. And I thought he was another positive game today,
Conspiracy theory. What if Don Sweeney was just a step ahead of everybody and sent him down to the AHL so we could save the $1 million+ on the cap there for, making the team better, and then Kucherov'd his ass in a different way. AHL Kucherov'd his ass.
Jeez.
And then brought him in for the playoffs, ready to go. And Wagner is just like, what's good? I'm here. I'm ready to go. Obviously, he's not Kucherov, so don't jump down my throat. But I'm just saying, obviously, that's probably not the case. But, I mean, it's fun to think of because he's playing well. I mean, he looks like a player who should have been on this roster the entire year.
Yeah.
That's what he looks like right now, you know? So it's like, it's one of those things where you look at this player and you say to yourself, how the hell were you playing in the AHL all year when you come up here at the hardest hockey to play in the entire world, NHL playoff hockey, and be doing what you're doing?
Yeah.
He looks great. He's bringing the energy, and that's what he's there for.
No, I'm not saying Wagner's a bad player at all, and I'm not trashing him by any means, but in the games that I watched or attended as a media member down in Providence, I just didn't see anything that really cried out that we needed to get this guy in the lineup, to be honest with you.
Right.
I mean, he was getting a couple of goals here and there. He would go through streaks that we wouldn't get the points in. But I just think that his value down there to the younger players and the developmental core was that much more. But that is the difference between the leagues, too. Sometimes you can go down to the AHL and think you're playing really good and you're not. But when you get up to the highest level in the league or back there from a long absence, it changes you. You just want to give 150% and run through a wall. Right. It's so we could be just seeing something that he has to meet a certain expectation at this level. But if he's down there, stashed down there, it's not like he's going to be blowing it up and getting 30-goal seasons either.
Right.
So. Speaking of Providence and so on, it's very unfortunate for the Providence Bruins to exit the playoff year. We returned to the Calder Cup finals, the playoffs, Calder Cup playoffs for the first time in 2 full seasons due to the pandemic crap, and get swept in 2 games by the Bridgeport Sound Tigers. And real unfortunate season. And playoff hopes. It just sucks because the Providence Bruins got hit with a ton of injuries right at the end of the year, and they just couldn't recover. Bridgeport was just too much for them. There was a couple of good games, but just not enough. And it's really sad because I thought that Ryan Mougenel, a first-year coach in the American Hockey League, and he was an assistant coach previously, did really well, and he did well with what he had. So, it sucks that the Providence got out.
The future of Providence is looking good, though.
Absolutely. I believe that with the NCAA signings that Don Sweeney has done, and some of the guys that even came in at the minor pro level on AHL only deals for more looks, is really starting to replenish the prospect pool.
Yep.
A lot of the Merkulov signing was really good, and he seems like he's injured. I don't think he got into a playoff game. I could be wrong, but I remember him getting off the ice and he couldn't put any weight on his foot at all. So
is Brett Harrison going to Providence next year? Do you think that's what's in the cards?
He was in Providence on an ATO.
Oh, so he is on an ATO.
Yeah, but here's the thing about CHL players and NCAA players. A CHL player can go on an ATO and go back to juniors the following year.
Okay.
Because he's got eligibility to go back.
All right. That makes sense.
Or the Bruins could sign him to an entry-level deal, and they could... either way, if a Canadian hockey player can be signed to an entry-level deal and go back to play for your juniors. Right. You just get a contract slide and so on.
So what do you think? Do you think he's Providence-bound, or do you think he's going back to juniors?
I just think that it was the same thing that the path that Jack Stanika took when he was with Oshawa. And, he, after the year was over, he had an option to go play in Providence. I just think that's it. I don't think there's going to be any signing. It could be. Who knows?
Right.
Oh, another one. Staying with the prospects is Sharon Dietz. Sharon, hello, my dear. How are you? Hopefully all is good and your heart blood pressure is down after these two Boston Bruins wins. But what about Fabian Lysell?
Definitely Providence-bound.
Yeah, let's talk about Fabian Lysell. He is currently in the second round of the WHL playoffs against the Kamloops Blazers. His team, the Vancouver Giants, actually were the Giants were a lower seed, and Everett Silvertips were the highest seed. And
8-1.
Yeah, Lysell and the Giants just cleaned house in that first round, moved on to the second round. Unfortunately, the Giants are down in the series 2-0 right now. But, man, Lysell was on fire with the assists. In 6 games, he had 4 goals, 7 assists, 11 points. So, how's that Amesbury math?
Woo-hoo! There it is. Cue up the Lysell to the Boston Bruins after the playoffs end there in the WHL for them. Get ready for that.
Well, yeah, there'll be the hype, hey, Jake DeBrusk's terrible. He's a quitter. We need this kid on the team. He scores goals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll come soon. I'm sure hockey Twitter will be full of that crap.
I'm waiting for it.
But let's be realistic about Fabian Lysell and his arrival. He could be with the Boston Bruins, but I'm not sure if he's going to get any ice. I think he's going to practice with the Black Aces, be around the organization to get that pro feeling, and possibly, have a successful development camp, which I can't wait to watch. I'm going to be in Boston for all of those days. You should go with me if you want to.
I'll probably be able to make it to at least one of them, but you know how my work schedule can get. So
I know. A good development camp, a good rookie camp, and then go into next fall's NHL training camp and go from there. I still believe that he needs a full season in the American Hockey League with the Providence Bruins. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say that about every prospect. I'm not gonna back down on this. This is a hill I'll die on. I really think that even though it has worked in the past with Brandon Carlo and this person coming out of college and making the roster, I get it. But this is a whole new time. We're properly developing these prospects nowadays. There's no more rush from the podium to the roster. NHL level.
Unless you're Connor McDavid, Austin Matthews,
yes.
Jack Eichel. Unless you're those types of guys, yeah.
Exactly.
That's a whole different story.
Also, that puts a lot of pressure on a player like Lysell that is going to come to the NHL level undersized. He's only 5'11", and he's like $175 or something like that. He's got some really good offensive capabilities. The guy can stick handle in a phone booth, but can he play that type of game when he's going to have a mix of, and I know the WHL is all a mix of all different size bodies too, but these are playoff intensity bodies coming at you, leaning on you and grinding you down. That's a lot of pressure to put on a kid to just come in from the WHL and go right in.
Right.
So,
back to my point though about the Austin Matthews and the Connor McDavids of the world. One guy who probably should not have gone straight from the podium to the NHL was Lafreniere. I think he would have benefited from some time in the AHL before making that jump. But since he's a first-round pick, since he was the first overall pick, they expected him to be able to hop right in. I mean, we're seeing Owen Power, first-round pick, stayed in college.
Yeah.
And now, he's played a couple games here for Buffalo, but that was towards the end of the season, and it's looking like that's the way it definitely should be, depending on the talent taken. From that draft, I don't think there was a single player who went straight from the podium to the NHL. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think so.
Right. All right. Where do we go from here?
I mean, the Bruins did just win 5-2 against Carolina, and I think we should maybe talk more about this game because it was so freaking exciting. It's what I feel like we're all here for right now, is to talk about this game, break it down a bit. For me, the start of the game, not really how you wanted to see them start the game. They let up another early goal. Not early, but they let up another goal first. They, allowed Carolina to score first once again. That's the fourth time now in the series out of 4 games. I think the Bruins are going to have to be the first on the board in one of these games coming up here. They have to be. You got to be able to take a hold of a game. Like, if the Bruins come out on Tuesday and they score 2 goals first, it's a 2-0 game, that is huge. Huge. Especially in Carolina. I mean, I feel like they definitely need to score first in this upcoming game. I mean, obviously, they don't need to win, technically. But for me to feel comfortable with this team moving forward in this series, I need to see them score first.
Yeah, but my biggest thing about that theory, and you're spot on, absolutely. The idea is to get ahead of your opponent. I get it. But sustaining that lead has always been a tough task for this Boston Bruins team, particularly this year, whether you're talking about the regular season or this postseason. Mr. Crunchy Cruncherson.
Sorry, I didn't mean that.
That's all right. You got to keep your skate on the opponent's throat and don't let up. Once you let up and they start exposing weaknesses, this is a scary team. It's a scary offensive team that can come at you in many different avenues to try to get the puck in the net. And, if you contain that, you play their, pinching style and you push them to the outside, what they're doing to us on several occasions, you play their game. You give it right back to them. You're going to break out even. So I think that you can hold the lead. It's just, you just got to dig down deep and figure it out. Especially down a couple key members.
Yep. I think that's why I mentioned if they can get out to like a 2-0 start, that would be fantastic, and then just go from there.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think it's gonna be really tough to keep Carolina off the board in any of these games. I don't foresee them getting a shutout in any of these games. So you got to score early, and you got to score quick, and you got to score in a way that's going to make them feel almost defeated, like they did to us in, let's say, game 1, when we had a 0-0 game going into the second period. They get 2 goals, and then we come out in the third period. We get 1 goal to make it a 1-goal game, but then they pounce and they make it 3-1, just like that. I think that's the type of game that we're going to see on Tuesday. And I hope it's in the Boston Bruins' favor.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'd have to hurt you if you said the other way.
Oh, I know. Oh, I hope Carolina wins. So Thomas from the short shift can lose his mind.
I know. And this is, I'm really, obviously, I'm very selfish in my Bruins fandom. I want the Bruins to beat Carolina so bad.
Oh yeah.
So bad. Just after what's has been going on and building up the past couple of years, particularly this season by not, just by dominating us in the regular season in those 3 games and outscoring us so much that we come back into the series and just blow them up. But also, you got to give it to Thomas and his non-fandom of that organization, and because it got taken away from his childhood. So, I'm pumping for Thomas. So,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, this team they are scary too. It is a scary team. And, game 1, remember what they did in game 1? They played Sweet Caroline, and the whole crowd there was singing it with the bombs and everything. The entire time. Well, not the entire time, but towards the end of the game. And I thought to myself, if Carolina Hurricanes lose this series, I'm going to go back to that moment and just think to myself, what was, I mean, I know it has nothing to do with the actual Carolina Hurricanes hockey team, but what was that arena thinking, throwing that up there and getting the crowd into it like that? Game 1. And at the time it was a 3-1 game. And they're throwing up Sweet Caroline. I'm like, what the hell? Made no sense to me. I was just like, that's a little cocky. We've seen nothing but cockiness from the Carolina Hurricanes fan base. They thought that this series was completely won already, up 2-0. Well, where are we at now?
Yeah, there's a lot of good Carolina Hurricanes fans out there in the hockey world and everything, but there's a lot of ones that are real disrespectful.
Probably say the same thing about Bruins fans too.
Yeah, I know. It could swing either way, but you're seeing a lot of really nasty stuff out there. Particularly, I'm not going to get into details, but particularly about David Pastrnak and what happened during the offseason.
That's classless.
Yeah, that's huge classless, man.
They probably hang out with Tony DeAngelo.
Yeah, right.
They all hang out together.
Absolutely. My boy Robbie Shennett in the house. He's the Patreon contributor. Thanks as always, Rob. I truly appreciate your support, financial and as a buddy, and sharing everything. You're amazing. But Lazar in this game, wow! I thought he was really good. And he showed major discipline into getting D'Angelo to take that penalty, and it really frustrated him to a boiling point at the end of the game that he had to be a little crybaby and throw his stick.
How D'Angelo didn't get any extra minutes on that is crazy to me. Like, how many times did he hit Lazar in the face after the whistle?
Right. How
many times? And he didn't get any extra minutes whatsoever. I was really confused by that one. I mean, I'm not going to cry over it, obviously, but it sets a dangerous precedent.
Yeah, well, the officiating in the series has been somewhat horrible.
Absolutely.
It's not all there and everything. So, I mean, God, I don't remember what game it was, but it was Bergeron that was going into the corner along the goal line, and it tapped the guy in the back of the leg, and he just fell. Yeah. Got called for it. I mean, that was complete embellishment. Another one I wanted to talk about the officiating in this series and what we could see moving forward is the slashing call. The slashing call is ridiculous. We're actually, there's fans that are reaching out, sending me clips of videos that's being blown up. They know it's coming, but once they feel that a little bit of pressure on the stick, they're fucking dropping the stick.
Right. Yep. Absolutely.
Why can't you call that embellishment?
Right.
And I'm so sick and tired of the narrative. It's an extension of your hand. The stick is an extension of your hand, but when you chop it halfway, come on, that's getting ridiculous.
Unless you snap that stick in half, it should not be a slash.
Exactly, and I totally forgot about that until I saw you getting wound up about that, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Unless it breaks, whatever. But if it doesn't break, you're basically letting that go.
Yeah. I could be holding on to the stick the entire time with a thread, and as soon as somebody comes along and hits it, it's going to go down. So it's like people, like you said, people are loosening up their grip on their sticks when, skating. someone goes and, chops down on the stick to try to make a good hockey play, and they just let it go.
Yeah.
Penalty. And I think that, it's a ridiculous thing. They called it correctly, unfortunately. That's just the way it is. But it's just one of those things that you don't want to see in the game.
What's up, Larry Davies? Thank you for coming into the chat. Truly appreciate the support, bud. Sharon Dietz comes in with she's dropping facts now. If Marchand did that, he'd be suspended.
Probably talking about the many times that D'Angelo hit Lazar after the whistle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think, D'Angelo, I don't know if he's going to get suspended, but he should definitely get fined.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Oh, yeah. The amount of Sharon's the amount of penalties called in these 3 games is ridiculous.
It's insane. Is this playoff hockey?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
I thought they put the whistles away during the playoffs.
Yeah, and you know what, though? We were so worried about the Boston Bruins power play. How are we feeling today?
Yeah, a little bit better.
Definitely.
Definitely something to work on. They're getting more opportunities, and in my opinion, it's the passing. It's the overpassing.
They're getting too cute.
Yeah. They're really looking for that really perfect play or set up somebody that needs it, the monkey up the back, whatever. But just put it on net.
Right.
Put it on net and see what happens. Look what Carolina's doing. Carolina, Jacob Slavin, just throwing shit on net, and it's finding its way through. Like Jeremy Swayman got beat bad by a Slavin freaking
That's
wrister.
one he wants back.
Oh, absolutely. And then people are freaking fighting with me. Oh, it was tipped. It changed direction. Bullshit. Bullshit. Stop sticking up for the shiny new toy. He makes mistakes too.
Right. I think he's had 2 really good games. It could have been a 4-1 game if it wasn't for that goal that he definitely should have had. That was a really rough one. And it's very rare that it's a goaltender's fault that a puck goes in the net. It's very, very rare. Very rare. It's usually what happens before that. Like today, the second goal on Swayman, where he was scored on. I think it was Brown who chased a little bit behind the net, tried getting back into position, screened Swayman completely. Swayman had no idea what was going on. Puck was shot, hit off of Brown's leg, and went and redirected the net. Now, had Brown not screened Swayman, had Brown not been standing directly in front of him, taking away every bit of view, that was hitting Swayman. He didn't even have to move. So, goals like that, you look at that and you say to yourself, how can you even, blame a goaltender for that when there's so many different things that happen that lead to goals before it's a goaltender's fault. And I think, like with Allmark, I don't think either of those games were his fault.
Right.
At all. I think he played great. He made a lot of saves that he needed to make. There was maybe one that he would have wanted to have back, and that was that weird backhand goal from Trocheck that hit off his helmet and in. And it looked like he could have probably done a little bit more there. He just kind of hit it through his head. Anyone who's watching the video, and not the recording here is going to see me whip my hair back and forth. But he just whips his head to try to save the puck and just kind of hits it into the net. That was one he definitely wants back. So, and in Tuukka Rask's career, there's plenty of goals that I've seen him give up that he probably wanted back. It's just something that happens. And I think this fan base, a portion of this fan base, I should say, is a little bit too rough on the goaltenders. It's the hardest position to play in hockey, and it's really rough. So, you got to cut them some slack. They do the best they can. There's a lot of things on the ice that you're not seeing because you're not on the ice. You have no idea what they're seeing when it comes down to their vision, what they can actually see, how hard a shot is actually shot to the point where, the best goaltender in the world can't even get the reflex to save that one. There's a lot of things going on there. Sorry for my rant.
No worries, man. Good content. And the defense in this series is it's happening with Swayman, and it's also happening with Allmark and net. It's just they're not creating enough of the lane for the goaltender to see. So if you don't do that, like you mentioned earlier, a lot of these shots that are coming in are going to be redirected. And in the playoffs, there's a heavy percentage of goals that are coming in redirected. You know, there's a history. There's some science, some math behind it, which I'll look into doing some research about. I think 68% of all playoff goals come via not by the stick scoring and just shooting.
Right.
It comes from a redirection. So,
yeah. I'm sure second to that is probably the goaltender never seeing it, tons of traffic.
Exactly. But, you know, Sharon brings up another point about this defense is that we don't have any threat from the back end for shots getting through.
I think Riley is one guy you could count on for that, and another guy I think would be good for that is Lindholm. And I'm sure you're going to be surprised I didn't say McAvoy, but I think McAvoy is more of a mover, and he also does have a good shot, but I don't think it's from the blue line. I think it's getting into the hash marks, closer to the slot there, where McAvoy actually shines with that. But I think Riley and Lindholm are your best chances there when it comes to a shot from the blue line.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about here, just blue line. We're not saying that Grzelcyk doesn't have a good shot, or, sometimes Carlo, is a blind squirrel who gets a nut and just fires one from the blue line, and it creates some havoc and does something that you want to see. So we definitely don't have a guy like Slavin back there, though. I'll tell you that, who's able to. I mean, I'll tell you one thing: we're missing Chara in that sense of just having that rifling shot from the blue line that can either find a leg and redirect in, or can just blow right past the goaltender because it was so big of a shot. But yeah, Carolina definitely has the edge when it comes to their blue liners and the points that they can get, especially from the blue line.
Yeah, Sharon says the same thing. Carolina does well. Half of their goals have come from the D.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting coming down the stretch here to Game 5. Obviously, there's some healthy news coming around. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Hampus Lindholm could be back in as soon as Tuesday night. There's a strong possibility about that. He has been seen skating. So getting him back in the lineup is huge. And obviously McAvoy, hopefully that whole situation was not as bad as it was. Hopefully that whole, COVID thing was a false positive, whatever. I get the whole protocols that the NHL has to go through and every team has to go through and so on. But I'm kind of surprised that they're so strict nowadays with everybody basically being healthy and, what was I going to say? I don't know. I read the private chat and lost track of my mind.
That's on me.
All right. All right. Oh, that's a fumble. All right. Yeah, so do you want to take a mid-show break now or do it in 10 minutes?
I think we can probably do it now.
Yeah, why don't we do it now? Let's hear from Bruce Sullivan from Boston Sports and Music Memorabilia. He's got some fantastic stuff that we give away here on the Black and Gold Hockey Podcast on our Patreon. If you sign up, details are below. They've been in the ticker this whole time. But if you go to patreon.com/Black and Gold Hockey Podcast and donate $1, you'll be eligible to win Terry O'Reilly's hand-signed jersey, fully authentic. Yeah, I can't say that word either.
Authentic. Now you got me not being able to say it.
I love it.
Authentic. What the heck? I can usually say that word.
Yeah. All right. It's authentic.
Authentic. Thank you.
This is his signature right here. You can win this for $1, but you can also win some fantastic weekly prizes like hand-signed pucks from Derek Sanderson, Reggie Lemlin, Ed Johnston, Stanley Cup 70-72. Oh, Rick Middleton. We got tons of stuff. So we give all that stuff away. And I got to get caught up with a bunch of people. I know, Sharon, I got to get you some pucks out there. So anyway, let's hear from Bruce, and we'll be right back.
Hey, this is Bruce from Boston Sports and Music with our Black and Gold Memorabilia Moment of the Week. We just hosted Bruins legendary Hall of Fame goalie Jerry Cheevers, and we've got some great memorabilia from the Cheevers signing, including jerseys for just $79, pucks for $34, and photos starting at just $29. May 15th, we've got Big Bad Bruin John Wensink. We're going to have Wensink Big Bad Bruins autographed and inscribed jerseys for just $79. Pucks for just $34 and photos for just $29. We are proud to have hosted not one but two Miracle on Ice 1980 Olympic gold medalists, Dave Christian and Dave Silk.
And you can buy something from the Dave Christian Legend Collection. Take home this blue style or white style Miracle 80 jersey, dual signed by Dave Christian and Dave Silk, JSA authenticated, and yours for just $135. Or grab these JSA authenticated USA hockey pucks, hand signed by Dave Christian, yours for just $44. Or grab this Dave Christian inscribed JSA authenticated photo against the Soviet Union, yours for just $44. Take home this Dave Silk Miracle on Ice 8x10 photo for $44. Or these Miracle pucks for $44, JSA authenticated. This 8x10 against the Soviet Union inscribed, JSA authenticated, $44. Or the USA Hockey Dave Silk puck, yours, JSA authenticated, $44.
And on May 30th, we've got Buzz Schneider, another Miracle on Ice gold medalist, coming your way. For more information on our dozens of hand-signed Bruins collectibles, visit us at our Facebook page, Boston Sports and Music Memorabilia, or email me directly at bostonsportsandmusic@gmail.com. And be sure to tune in each week right here to the Black and Gold Hockey Podcast. Let's go!
All right, we are back. We just heard me babble a little bit about, well, we just heard Bruce babble about the stuff that he has at Boston Sports and Music Memorabilia. And if you did listen to that commercial, you can follow him and get some free stuff over there on the Facebook if you like and share his stuff. But also reach out via email to find out his inventory, because he's got a ton of stuff that will dress up that fan cave that you desperately need to redo. That's just my opinion. I'm the creepy old guy that's watching you in your windows.
That's weird.
Yes, it is. All right, back for some Boston Bruins hockey talk. Please, everybody in the chat, hit us up with some more questions, concerns moving forward as this series gets back on Tuesday night on the road, and then Thursday at home, and Game 7 on the 14th on the road. So anything you guys want to talk about, go for it. Kevin, what do you want to talk about?
So out the gate here, I see that they're talking about the McAvoy COVID protocol stuff. So I do want to talk about that real quick. Now, if McAvoy did test positive today, okay, I believe the new rule is after 5 days, as long as your symptoms have improved and you're good to go, you can now, go back and play. And of course, that is, the NHL could have their own rules on that. But let's say, it's 5-6 days or something like that. You could definitely see McAvoy back in there for the either Game 6 or Game 7. And that's only if he is able to recover the way he needs to from COVID, of course.
Sharon types in a little bit of some information. The only test now if the symptoms, so if McAvoy tested positive, he's most likely out for the series.
The series would end Sunday if it went 7 games. So, and that's next Sunday. So I think he'd be able to play that game as long as I don't know. I got to look up the NHL rules on when it comes down to it, but I think they've definitely become a lot less strict on that. I think they might be following the CDC guidelines of 5 days and your symptoms have greatly improved, like and you're no longer sick or whatever. I think that's where we could see McAvoy come in.
Yeah. And the sooner the better. This defense definitely needs him. His physicality is missed out there. I mean, he's just a freaking truck in this series, just hitting everything.
Yeah.
It has been a very physical series, regardless of what people are thinking. That, I mean, I've heard so many people talk about this isn't physical enough, this isn't Big Bad Bruins enough. I've seen some really good competitive hockey in this series lately.
Right. Another thing, too, McAvoy, I mean, we don't even know if McAvoy is tested positive or anything like that. For all we know, he had some symptoms, and they pulled him off the ice because he had symptoms that lined up with COVID, and they said, okay, well, we got to pull him. We can't have him out there. This is protocol. So now I think we'll get information. I'm sure he's getting tested today. So we'll get information on whether or not he gets that positive test. But, I mean, for all we know, he could just have some allergies. I mean, allergies been kicking my ass today. I'll tell you that. My God. Yeah. I had a sneezing fit on the way home from breakfast this morning. I thought I was going to get into a car accident. I was sneezing so much. So, he might, maybe he has like a sore throat, coughing a little bit. Maybe it's a cold. So we'll see what happens there. But obviously he was definitely okay enough to play. If he was on the ice dressed, ready to go, and they pulled him. So I'm not overly concerned there. I don't think he's going to end up having COVID. I mean, when's the last time we even heard of a player getting COVID in the NHL?
I heard something the other day, but it was I don't know if it was a player that was, I don't know. I thought I heard something the other day about it. Shit. I don't know. Mark McDonald comes in. Thoughts on Josh Brown? Do you take him out? And if so, who do you put in to replace him?
I keep him.
Yeah. I keep him around. I mean, he's definitely going to be around regardless, but he's going to slot down lower because of the injuries to Hampus Lindholm and obviously what's going on with Charlie McAvoy right now.
Yeah.
But I thought he did okay for his first game. I think it was his first playoff action this series.
This series, yes.
Yeah. So
sorry for the yawn.
Yeah, I thought he did all right. And obviously, if he gets another game on Tuesday, it'll be a little more experience, and I think he could be a little bit better. But, a guy like that, his presence is going to be needed whenever he gets slotted in there to move bodies around. He's a big guy. He can throw the fists around. I'm not sure about his offensive capabilities, but, stay-at-home type of guy, I believe. And I think that he can, create those lanes that the goaltenders need when the opponent is at the top of the crease trying to create havoc. You got to move those guys to be able to see the puck. So I think that he could be that type of player, but he's definitely not going to blow you away with his stats and so on.
This reminds me a little bit of 2013. Decent amount of injuries to the blue line. And then, do you remember who came in and started his career?
Was it Torrey Krug?
Yep. Mr. Torrey Krug came in during the New York Rangers series and absolutely lit the lamp. I mean, he ended up getting injured too, but I think next guy up for the Boston Bruins, say another person were to go down or Josh Brown wasn't working out or whatever it was, I believe the next guy up is Jack Ashan.
Yes. Yep.
Could you imagine if Jack Ashan came into the playoffs and all of a sudden out of nowhere, he's just like, oh, you guys need scoring from the blue line? Hi.
Seen it. I mean, we've seen it, and we're definitely not going to be, pumping Jack Sayers to get him in there as soon as possible. But he's just another player that comes from the middle depths and can be a decent member of this team when asked. And we've seen it. I've seen really good offensive capabilities from Jack, especially at the NHL level, where I just didn't think that he could stick handle and move like that. But his little body gets through certain places. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't he score a goal against the Carolina Hurricanes?
No.
No?
I don't think that was the Hurricanes.
Was it a Metro team?
Maybe. I think it was the Rangers. I want to say it was the Rangers or the Penguins.
Yeah.
And Sharon, I wasn't saying that Brown would be the Krug. I was saying Jack Ashan would be the Krug.
Yeah. Yeah, just by offensive capabilities. Yeah, the kid can move. He's got some wheels. You know, I mean, he's like Oscar Steen down south. Those freaking tree trunks for legs, they're freaking unbelievable.
Yep. Yeah, that kid is a pit bull.
Where do we go? Oh my God! Are you kidding me? This is unbelievable.
I know what's happening right now.
Guess who's here, folks? It's the Dominator.
Good day, boys.
What's up, Tom?
Our message. Well, you know, I had a busy weekend with the grandson, and today I was busy teaching him how to jump off the couch and cheer when the Bruins scored. So it went a long way today.
Well, it's good to see you. Good to have you. Good to hear that you got some grandkid time, some family time. Is always good time, my friend.
Oh yeah, I got in trouble. I didn't put him to bed till 10:30 last night. So
I know you told me that.
Hey, that's what grandpas are for, right? Spoil them.
Just don't feed them after midnight.
Exactly.
No.
Yes. Robbie Shennett coming in, my boy, saying Happy Mother's Day, everybody. That's awesome. So, Zachiel, if Lindholm is a go, do you take Riley out? Interesting question.
No, I take Brown out. I take Brown out, and I play Riley on his offside because I think Riley on his offside would probably be a better option in the playoffs than Josh Brown.
Sure.
And Riley's played 2 good games. Mm-hmm. He really has. Anybody who's knocking on him, and there are a few out there, you know, just watch. He's played 2 very good games for the Bruins.
Oh yeah, today he got physical too.
Yes,
very physical.
Hit behind the net.
Oh yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of when I said that.
Yeah, the I wonder if I still have that picture. No, I don't. I deleted it, but I was gonna post the picture of Mike Riley getting a high sticking penalty, and you know Elmo
kept the stick down.
Yeah, I did too.
Sharon's got a good question there too.
If they lose a forward,
yeah.
Sharon says, if they lose a forward, who do you see coming in?
You'd expect me to say Trent Frederick going back in there, but I believe it's Anton Bleed.
I agree with you. You know, there's people that have their own made-up home analytics that are saying how great Trent Frederick is, but he was not good, and he does not deserve to be back in the lineup.
Yeah, at least for right now.
Yeah.
And actually, staying on Sharon Dietz, one of my favorite folks, she mentioned earlier in the chat that she's wondering if there was any word of the Black Aces being mentioned. Have we heard anything yet, Dom?
I haven't heard a thing. All I know is Kyle Kaiser is up with the team as the third goaltender, but that's it. That's all I've got.
Okay. Yeah, because I haven't heard anything either since.
Yeah, he's been up since the start of the playoffs as the third goaltender, but I got nothing else beyond that.
Interesting. All right.
And yeah, Larry's got something here too. Brown gives us some toughness back there, though. Yeah, he does, but at the same time, I think he was directly related to that second goal in today's game. He did have a decent game other than that, but I think Riley showed today that he can give you just as much toughness, if not more.
And he can give you the transition,
yeah,
which is going to be key. I mean, you still have to win a game in Carolina, where Carolina has the matchup advantage, which is key for them. So transitioning becomes that much more important.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And earlier I did say that I think Tuesday is a must-win, but I'm actually going to retract that statement, because if they lose Tuesday and they go back home and they win that game and it's just a winner takes all, when neither team has won in each other's buildings, that just reminds me of the Stanley Cup Finals 2011, where the Boston Bruins had to
advantage Boston there. With the experience they have in those situations, it's advantage Boston. Now, goaltending comes into play. Who's to say what's going to happen with Carolina and Freddie Anderson? But Freddie Anderson's record in Game 7s is not good.
No.
But you also have to remember, and we talked about this before, that was in a porous defense in Toronto. So different situation.
Yeah. Gardner did not help.
No.
But that is what it is, isn't it? Dom, now that you're here, let's hear your reaction to the series so far. What do you got?
The three of us talked about it before the series on how the Bruins needed to play to be able to beat Carolina. And I said, just think back to the Tampa Bay game. And you guys messaged me at the end of the first period of Game 1, describing it to a T, what they had to do. And I think it was Mark that said exactly what Dom said. And to go back, if you can go back to that period 1 in Game 1, that's what they need to do. With one exception, the Bruins had too many flybys in that period. They weren't stopping in front of the net. They weren't getting to those second and third chance opportunities. And Mark Messier, I believe that was the ESPN broadcast Game 1, actually broke down one of them really well. The chance where Jake DeBrusk did his flyby, he stopped behind the goal line and tried to reach back, and he had neither the reach or the what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, to be able to knock it in from where he was. So Game 3 and 4 were a little bit better. I think we saw it with Bergeron's goals in stopping in front of, doesn't matter who the goaltender is, Ronta, or I'm not even going to try to pronounce the other guy's name. Forget it. We'll just call him Peter. It's not like Georgi Merkulov. Eh?
There we go.
I knew that was coming.
One per pod.
If they can do that, and they can prevent the flybys and play defensively sound like they are playing, then they can beat this team. And then it'll come down to specialty teams. And right now the Bruins are winning the specialty teams battle. So
and who thought we'd be saying that?
No, especially when you're going up against a PK as good as Carolina's and a
rated
PK
number one
that has suffered as much as the Bruins has for the last 6 weeks.
Yeah. Yep.
Now I will tell you, and I will say this because I probably known who Tony DeAngelo was long before NHL fans had even heard of him. But they got to him today. And Tony DeAngelo, come Game 5 in Carolina, if the Bruins get in on him early and throw him off his game, watch out, because this guy's going to lose it, and he's going to cost them. So I would be keen, whether I'm Curtis Lazar or I'm Nick Foligno or I'm Chris Wagner, I would be on top of him every chance, because this guy is an explosion waiting to happen. And I've seen it for years. Like I said, I watched him in junior. I watched him in midget. He's going to explode. His temper is that bad, and he's going to cost his team. And they have to exploit it.
Get in his kitchen early.
You need some anger management.
Yeah. I'll just leave it at that. I just know way too much about him off the ice that it is what it is.
Yeah, his history speaks volumes as well.
Yeah.
What about Yorgi? Does he need any anger management, or is he good to go?
Who?
Yorgi.
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 No, he doesn't. He doesn't need any.
Okay, that's good then.
Any injury update on him, by the way?
No, nothing.
I haven't heard anything either.
I'm more concerned with Lindholm. By all accounts, everything sounds really, really good. McAvoy, I know that there's stuff out there on Twitter that says that COVID protocol says he has to miss Game 4, which he did today, and Game 5. But that all depends on when his symptoms started. So whether the people that are putting that information out there have information that we haven't heard, who knows? But protocol says that it depends on when he first had symptoms, because he has to be symptom-free for 5 days. And who knows? He could have had symptoms yesterday and been symptom-free today, or he could have had symptoms 2 days ago after the game and been symptom-free for 2 days. So it's hard to say.
Yeah, this is a tough one to gauge, to be honest with you. But hopefully he's okay and gets back on the ice as soon as possible. But when we started this live stream earlier, we did mention that there's a lot of good positive things coming from the next man up mentality without the Lindholms and without the McAvoys, and it's really good to see. And I think this is a really good time for these players to get in there and prove what they can do and be trusted when these world talents are not on your team, especially in a postseason where everything comes at you a lot faster. The intensity level rises and puts a lot of pressure on some members that are going to be playing more minutes per game, right. Be heavily relied on. But I think that there's a nice comfort level. It's not all going to be 100%, we're okay, we're this and that, we're all good. There's going to be times of frustration and so on. I totally get it, but that's just part of how you create good chemistry without the supporting members.
Yeah, I agree. The coaching staff has some, major decisions to make going into Game 5. First and foremost, and I know that everybody's going to jump on me for even suggesting this, is do you start Allmark or do you start Swayman? And believe me, they are giving consideration. Allmark will get consideration because the game is in Carolina. It's a hostile crowd, and Carolina is going to come at them in waves. And we've seen, i.e. the Toronto Maple Leafs game, how Swayman reacts to that. So don't jump on me, fans, for suggesting that they're giving consideration to it, because consideration will be given to it. The other thing is, what do they do with the Bergeron, Marchand, Pasternak line? Because we know the matchup is going to be there, and they're going to go up against Stahl's line. And do you break it up to spread out that offense? And then, of course, what do you do if Lindholm is able to get back into the lineup Tuesday night?
Yeah.
But I don't think, like Kevin said, I don't think that decision is as difficult as the other two.
Yeah, it should be interesting on how that all pans out. I don't mind the idea of going back to spreading the offense out, because you're going to have to do that with a Carolina team like this.
Yep.
You get, and especially in the playoffs, you got to rely on all four lines to click, and not just on the top two. And our third line needs to be better, in my opinion. Yep. I think I'm not totally crapping on Charlie Coyle, but we need a little bit more from him and his line mate. What else was I going to say? But the third line of the Carolina Hurricanes has just been a freaking nuisance all series.
Yeah.
And once you contain them and you expose their weaknesses, I think you can really control the series here, and also get at the goaltender. We got to be more net front, better opportunities to get through. and secondary scoring has got to pick up to really solidify this best of three that it's coming down to right now.
Yep. Yeah. Credit to the fourth line. They've been superb. That fourth line has been truly amazing, especially Lazar. And I know there are some fans that just don't like Curtis Lazar, but they say he's not a driver, but he drives that fourth line. He's what makes them click.
Yeah.
There's a few times today they got hemmed in their own zone, but they've gotten everything they've needed from that fourth line, but production. And I don't think Cassidy and his staff is really looking for production from them. He's looking at them to don't get beat defensively, spend a lot of time in the Carolina end, create havoc, establish the cycle game, the forechecking game, and the hitting game. And they've given them just that.
Yep. They create a lot of chances, too, especially in Game 1, I believe. I thought they were one of their better lines. They created a decent amount of chances. Unfortunately, they weren't really able to finish, but none of them really were able to.
No, but that's all you can really ask for from your fourth line. Lazar had a couple of chances today. It's kudos to him on that D'Angelo hit to the cross-check to the face. I mean, he kept us cool. If that was a regular season game, he would have retaliated. It would have been evened up. There would have been no power play there. And he's drawn penalties in this series, and that's what they need for him. But I totally agree with Mark. More is needed from the third line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can only ride with your possession so far. You got to start contributing with shots and passes and so on to extend that scoring ability, which I think is just so important. I really want this team to really figure it out from one line down to four on how, because we know that there's going to be defensive mistakes and we know that there's going to be turnovers that are going to happen, but I want to see the offense get so much better and just be able to put one or two in the net after a small mistake to really get that cushion, create a gap in the scoring sheet, to try to get these points and during the regular season, and obviously in the goal of possibly making a run to the Stanley Cup.
When this team was rolling four lines, I want to say midway through between January 1st and the end of the season, they were so dangerous. And a lot of it had to do with that third line and how they were able to click. And that's something we really thought was going to be a huge factor going into this playoffs of whether or not they'd be successful. That still holds true because they're 2-2 in a series right now. They were down in a hole 2-0. That third line definitely needs to get going. They're already without one member who is now sitting on the ninth floor, justifully so. So they got to create something there. And, one thing that we did see today was Coyle and Hall back together.
Yeah.
We did see that. It didn't look bad, but I'm interested to see how we're going. I don't want this to turn into them relying on the production line again. I don't want to see that happen. Pastrnak looks like he's going. I mean, maybe I don't want to mess with what's going on right now, but maybe if you put him back with Hall on that second line, put that second line back together, and then put Jake back up on that first. I mean, because Jake's going now. Brad's going now. Patricia's going now. Hall has been good the whole series. Hall has been, the glue guy. I mean, I'd like to see them try to get that top six back together so we can have more balanced scoring, but I'm also not going to complain or be surprised if Cassidy goes back into Raleigh on Tuesday with that production line intact.
Well, my opinion is in Carolina to get out of the matchup, you almost have to. I will say this about Cassidy. He gets a lot of crap for not making in-game adjustments, not making in-series adjustments, but it's far from true. Like, he has made adjustments. Look, when the Bruins power play started to falter, the three of us discussed it way back when, about, at least for me, how surprised I was that a lot of other NHL teams didn't figure out how easy it is to disrupt the Bruins zone entries, because it's the same play all the time. But he adjusted that through game 1. He adjusted it through game 2. He made major changes to the power play in game 3. Today, he had 5 forwards out on the
That was interesting.
You know, so this you know, the supposed rift between Patrice Bergeron and Butch Cassidy. Patrice Bergeron come right out and said it today, that Bruce Cassidy approached him about putting Marchand and Pasternak back together and wanted his opinion and what he thought was best for the team. For a coach to do, a coach is not going to do that if there's a rift between himself and the captain of the team. So this hogwash about no adjustments, no game planning, no changing is hogwash. The Bruins do it. You just have to dissect the game to a microscope level to see it sometimes. Mm-hmm. But they are there.
Yeah. I think for most people, they see the starting lineup and they think that that's what stays throughout the whole game, because there's constant adjustments that folks just don't see when, you know, as it transpires. God, I'm a bunch of fun with words today, guys.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, no, you're right though. I mean, and going back to, you know, putting the 5 forwards out there for that 5-on-3 to start the third period, it paid off. It definitely paid off. I mean, they got it with a second remaining, I believe, on the 5-on-3. Brad Marchand's goal. Beautiful shot, by the way. Beautiful shot through traffic. One of the things we talked about, they needed to get traffic in front of the goaltender. I knew they were going to go back to Ranta today, and I'm very happy to see that they were able to put up 4 on Ranta.
Oh.
Yeah. And let's go back, if we can, for a second, to the Pasternak hit on Ranta.
Oh, God.
Okay?
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, this is all I'm going to say about it, because people will form their own opinions. And the three of us talked about it before the series began. We all knew at some point Antti Ranta was going to get hurt in this series. We all knew. It happens to him. Whether it's real or it's all psychological to him or it's in his head, something doesn't feel right, my groin doesn't feel good, whatever it is. We all knew it was going to happen. So that's all I got to say about that hit, because there's so much crap going on out there.
You really wouldn't call it a hit?
No, I wouldn't call it a hit. That's why I said
he gracefully touched his face, and
I think what happened is a skate come up and caught the mask and did right after that. It did more damage and the damage was caused by the mask. It wasn't caused by Pasternak. So
right.
Now here's my question for you both. Do you guys think that's seriously a penalty?
No.
No.
I don't.
No, I will disagree. I agree. I will agree with a 2-minute minor, but nothing more than that. Because he tried to block Ronta's clearing attempt. I will give him that. But I don't think Pasternak made 100% effort to try to avoid contact. I think he made it look like he was trying to avoid contact, but that wasn't a wholehearted effort. So, yeah, I didn't mind a 2-minute minor in that situation.
Now, was Ronta outside of the crease? I'd have to go back and look at this, but I don't know if Ronta just made it outside the crease.
Yeah, he made a commitment to come out and play the puck, so I thought that he'd be vulnerable at that time for any contact, which, in my opinion, wasn't a penalty.
But he's not. He's not. Right? So, I have no issue with the 2-minute minor. I look at officiating this way. I never complain about it. I never give him pats on the back. I don't even comment on officiating because you have to play what's put in front of you. Okay? And that's what you have to react to. Today, the Carolina Hurricanes fell apart and they overreacted to the officiating, what got them into more trouble. And the Bruins stayed within it. And if Carolina wants to fall apart, if Rod Brind'Amour wants to go on a rampage, let them. But as long as Cassidy and the Bruins stay within it, I don't give a damn about the officiating. You have to play and adjust to what's put in front of you.
Yes. And I think today's game was a rerun of Game 2 with a different
outcome. Right. Agreed.
The team's flip-flopped.
All right, so going back on the talk about Bruce Cassidy and some ripples with Patrice Bergeron or vice versa, let's Dom pretty much kiboshed and all of that. This is what Bruce Cassidy had to say in his press conference, which I thought was interesting. He's got the C on his sweater for a reason. We don't win very many nights without him being who he is. He has been excellent the whole series. He's the oldest guy on our team, and he looks some days like he's the youngest. Coach Cassidy on Bergie's 3-point afternoon.
What a warrior Bergeron is. I mean, he was ready to go right back out there with 25 seconds left in the second period, to continue, on that 5-on-3. He was ready to go. Refs wouldn't allow him. He was pissed about it. So what did he do? He went down there, he got stitched up, and he was ready to go, ready to play. And you got to love that. I mean, had that happened to a guy in a different sport, he's out for the rest of the game.
Pretty much. And it's the only reason he wasn't allowed to go back out there is
couldn't stop bleeding.
It's an NHL rule. You can't go out there with blood on your jersey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He needed stitches. There was no blood stop on the bench that was going to fix that for the next 25 seconds. He definitely needed to be patched up. So I agree with the officials. I'm not complaining about the officials in that instance or anything like that. I'm just speaking more towards the character of Patrice Bergeron, gushing blood and all, ready to go out there and finish what they had started there, which was the end of that second period. What a series of events. I mean, Boston gets on the power play. DeBrusk scores a goal that, of course, Canes fans are going to see as controversial. They already feel like they got screwed on the goaltender interference calling Game 1, which I don't understand how they think they were screwed when they won the game, 4-1. And then you have this one where they feel like, DeBrusk interfered with him enough to where it should have been a goaltender interference, which I do disagree with, and that's not because I have black and gold colored glasses on. I just didn't see enough there. There's a lot of commotion in front of that net. The attempt it didn't have enough for me. I mean, the puck could easily have been covered there. So that was, I don't think he was impeded on being able to cover the puck at all at any point or anything like that. So what are you guys' thoughts on that?
Here's how I see it. Ronta's left pad was pushed enough away from the goal post and behind the goal line to open up the 5-hole, which allowed the puck to be batted through. Okay,
Okay. Of every replay I saw, it was inconclusive on whether it was DeBrusk stick or I think it was Pesci's stick that knocked Ronta's pad back. Because had it been no, it was only one stick, but it was inconclusive as to which one did it. Had it been conclusive that it was DeBrusk's stick, that goal gets called back because it wouldn't have happened. But it was inconclusive. So I see a comment there that said replay showed that it was actually a Canes player's stick, but I didn't see that replay. So there you go. I think if it was DeBrusk's stick, it would have been called back. And Brindamore must have saw something, or their video replay coach, or probably misread it and thought it was DeBrusk's stick. So
that makes more sense.
Yeah, that's the way
because I know. Yeah, because the reason why I said that there wasn't enough there for me was because of the whole situation where they weren't sure exactly how his pad was pushed in there.
Right
now, like you said, if it was DeBrusk, yeah, that would make sense because it kind of mirrors the Lena Selmark situation there, in a sense. But that was just the tip of the iceberg for the final few minutes of that period, because then from there, like you said, it was challenged. They didn't win that challenge, which means you now get a delay of game call. So the Bruins are right back on the power play, and not too long into that power play, Bergeron gets absolutely gashed in the eye by a high stick, and that becomes a 4-minute minor. So you now got a 5-on-3 for about a little over a minute there, I believe. And that's just to end out the period. I mean, I had every feeling in my bones that they were definitely scoring once they came back out there in that third period with all that power play time. I knew they were going to do it because they knew they had to.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, that game, you mentioned it earlier, scoring with 1 second left on that 5-on-3. That 1 second changed the game. Yep. It changed the momentum of the game because it left him with, 2:54 still left of PP time?
2:53, not to be nitpicky.
2:53. If it had been the second later, that 53 second of the second penalty, or the first penalty to what's his name for the high stick?
Riley?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Carolina high stick on Bergeron.
You'd think it was Riley. Who was it?
That would have been nullified, and they would Aho.
Yes, Sebastian.
Yeah, there you go. Look at that. My buddy Rick
nullified, and they would have been into the second penalty. So that kept Aho off the ice for the full 4 minutes, despite the momentum swing the Bruins got from the power play. When you can keep a guy like Sebastian Aho off the ice for 4 minutes, you've done a pretty good job.
Yeah, actually, it was 54 seconds. You're right, because Nesson messed up putting 2:53 up there when it was actually 2 minutes and 54 seconds. But other than that, they did a good job at putting a lot of the top guys for Carolina into the box. I mean, you had Trocheck in there.
Yeah.
You had Slavin in there. You had some guys in there that they really need on the ice. So they definitely did a good job there.
Trocheck took a few penalties today, and it was the same in Game 3 as well.
Yeah, he did. One of them was really, really dumb when he flipped that puck up and over the to make it a 5-on-3 on that clearing attempt. He had all the ice in the world, and he flipped the puck up over the glass. That was a bad one.
Speaking of glass, how about that Friday night game with that off ice attending. That was scary.
That was strange.
It was. But those fans are rocking, man. If they're going to find a piece of glass to bang on, they're going to do it. But wow, that was
I hate it, man. I hate it when they bang on the glass like that.
I know, but Jesus, that was a big, thick painted glass coming down that guy.
You never know when that glass is going to give away.
Yeah.
You never know. It's just leave it alone. Someone's going to get seriously hurt one day.
Oh, yeah.
Thankfully, that the gentleman is going to be okay, and I hear he's going to be back on the 12th for the game in at the TD Garden. So, it's good to hear that he's okay.
Good. And that night was weird. I mean, you had Jack Edwards talking about people being on Queer Street.
I heard that too. I was like, crap, man.
He's like, oh, he's on Queer Street. And then it was so funny too, because Brick, analyzing it, he was like, you said he was on Queer Street. But just like, what is with this Queer Street crowd?
I don't know.
It's like, what does that even mean?
I swear, we're not getting the Nesson feed up here in Canada. Sportsnet decided to go with either ESPN or TNT when they usually go with Nesson. But for most of the season, they've shown the Nesson feed, and I swear, listening to Jack pronounce names sometimes, I think he's drunk.
He's usually good at that, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's getting bad.
And it's not just opposing players, it's even Bruins players. So, I don't know.
All right.
I probably shouldn't have said that, but I did.
That's all right.
You can edit it out.
This is the live stream.
Oh, well, there you go.
It's all right. But, I mean, it's already...
It's a constructive criticism. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Until he @s me on Twitter and says, what the fuck are you talking about?
It's already well known by freaking Biz from Spittin' Chicklets that he gets after it smoking the weed, so...
Oh, well, okay.
Have you seen Jack's new commercial there on Nesson?
No, what is it?
He's like getting up, like people are talking about their goals and stuff like that, and Jack keeps standing up going, goal! And then he'll go, another goal! He's just like freaking out.
I'll clip a video and send it to you, Dom.
Oh, jeez.
It's so weird. It's funny, though. It's funny. Jack is a character. One thing I can say is Nesson would not be the same without him. I will say that. Definitely would not be the same. And you can say the same about Andy, but Jack, he is such a character. He really is.
Listen, Brick is one of the best in the business as an analyst. He really is. He understands the game. He played the game, and he knows the players. It's just remarkable how this guy is not on a national network as an analyst.
What I like about Brick is the way he talks about the game and folks and how folks can relate to it. He's not like overly like smart about it. He breaks it down for like the people that want to learn more about the game. Yeah. They can understand it. I think that's important in today's game, and we need more analysts like that to grow the game for the folks that don't exactly understand when they're first coming in. You don't want to hear smart ass all the time. You want to hear how it relates and how you absorb information. And I think that's the way Brick does it very well.
Razor's good with it too.
Yes.
Razor, I think Razor, when he first started, was a little uncomfortable in front of the camera and the microphone.
Yep.
But he's gotten really, really good at it. Really good. Especially listening to him on Morning Brew, analyze and break down what the goaltenders are doing. Truly amazing job.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean, being a goaltender, a former Boston Bruins goaltender, he knows everything that goes on, what Tuukka Rask went through, what all these goalies are going through. But also, he knows he is so intelligent, and he breaks everything down well that he talks people off the roof when they're completely freaking out about goaltenders, especially when like Linus Ullmark was signed, people went absolutely nuts. And Andrew Raycroft was right there to say, no, this is a really good signing. You guys don't understand how important this is. This is really good insurance policy because we don't know what's going to happen with Tuukka Rask. We don't know what we're going to get in Jeremy Swayman with being so young. We need somebody with experience in there right now. And I think it was a solid move. And he really bought in. I bought into a lot of what Andrew says. I mean, I've been a fan of Andrew for a long time. But he's also the same thing on the Swayman. He was basically saying the same thing. Go down to Providence and learn. Get your games, get your reps and everything like that. It's not a bad thing to go down to the AHL, and people should not treat it as it's a huge demotion. It's going to ruin somebody's career.
Yeah, I totally agree. I would go as far to say that had the Bruins not signed Allmark, they probably still would have made the playoffs, but it would have been close.
Right.
You just can't go in to an NHL season and play 82 games with 2 unknowns in the net.
It's true. It's very true. All right, so we got about 20 minutes to go, guys. If you guys got more questions, fill them in. And if we don't get any questions, we're probably just going to call it a show. We've had a blast here with everybody that's been tuning in. We truly appreciate the support. You guys are absolutely amazing. Happy Mother's Day again. Shout out to all the awesome moms out there. I
got a good question for you guys.
Go for it.
If the Bruins were to win this series, do you think it has more to do with Carolina choking or more to do with the Boston Bruins doing what needed to be done to beat a team like Carolina?
Doing what it needs to be done to beat a team like Carolina. Overcoming is my opinion on this one because this is a real good stepping stone for this Boston Bruins team to see where we're going. Now, I'm not fully on board with the rah-rah, shish-boom-bah, Bruins, Stanley Cup, but I'm also thinking that this could be a team that gets a round or two or maybe a third. Who knows? But beating a team like this in a series is just going to be a confidence booster. You're going to get a real good experience this time of the year against a team like Carolina to move on to the second round because the offensive capabilities of your next opponent could just be that much more worse, like coming at you harder than a Carolina would. It's just going to get tougher every level you go from here. But this is a solid experience point for a lot of Bruins members on this current team that haven't been a part of a playoff with this organization.
I think the key to the series is, and remember, it's only game 4. There's still 3 more to go. At this point, the Bruins have made adjustments. The Canes have not. Let's see if the Canes make an adjustment to Game 5 and how the Bruins respond to that. But at this point, it's not so much Carolina choking. It's their failure to make adjustments to what Bruce Cassidy's adjustments to them have been. One thing I will say about what Mark said about the next round, if you go back to our podcast 2 weeks ago, I said, this is probably the best path for the Bruins is through the Metro Division. If they can get by Carolina, then that's the easiest path to the Eastern Conference Final because they avoid Florida, they avoid Tampa, and they avoid Toronto. And to me, you guys heard me say it for months. The only 2 teams that I feared the Bruins going up against were Carolina and Tampa. They were my biggest worries. But by moving over to the Metro, they've avoided the big 3 from the Atlantic Division. So this is the easiest path. They just have to find a way to get past Carolina. It's 2-2, guys. I'm just because the Bruins have won the last 2, it's far from over.
Absolutely.
Right.
Carolina is an amazing team. So let's see how they react, if they adjust, and if the Bruins counter adjust to to Carolina in Game 5.
Yeah.
No, I'm glad you guys said that because I'm the same way because I know there's going to be people out there who say Carolina choked or this or that. But from someone who's watching these games, watching this series unfold, watching what the Bruins weren't able to do against this team during the regular season, regardless of who they had in the lineup or what was going on at the time, this team has learned from mistakes in Game 1 and Game 2. Adjusted accordingly, and I mean to make a team like that unravel the way they did today. That's a really incredible feat to do.
Yeah,
They can continue to do it. I mentioned Tony D'Angelo earlier with his anger problems and the fact that they can get him to explode. Vincent Trocheck is another. A player that I've known for years back in junior that, once they can if they can get to him and get him off his game, he's going to take a penalty or two. And right now, excuse me, it's all about specialty teams. Mm-hmm. If the Bruins can keep winning the specialty team battles here, they're going to win the series.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sharon comes in with this one. I think the Bruins are getting a handle on how they play Carolina and figuring them out over playing them consistently. Oof.
Well,
rough one.
I can agree to that to a point, but they spend a lot of time breaking down video. Bob Essenza spent time with the shooters to find the holes and how they're going to beat Ronta and Kochenkov or whatever his name is. I mean, I saw on Twitter today there isn't a lot of video on how to beat him. But that's not true. There's KHL video on this kid. They have the video. And look at where the Bruins were aiming their shots and how they scored 2 of their goals in Game 3 against the kid. Underneath the arm, between the body on the blocker side. And that's what they were aiming for all night long. So Bob Essenza is the one that breaks down opposing goalies and spends time with the shooters and says, this is what you got to do. This is where he's weakest. This is where he gives up the bulk of his goals. Under this situation, he does this, blah, 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 blah. Kevin Dean will work with the defenseman and say, this is how they like to enter the zone. This is what we need to do to counteract it. Go through all the coaching staff. They all have a responsibility. This is not Bruce Cassidy's show. He oversees it all. But everyone, Chris Kelly, what's his name? The one everybody hates. Him too.
Joe Sacco?
Joe Sacco. Everybody is involved. Everybody has a responsibility. So they spent a lot of time on video, but they didn't have a whole lot of practice time. They knew what they had to do to beat the Carolina Hurricanes. And it's just without repetitiveness and the chance to put it into effect, it took some time to happen. And unfortunately, they lost 2 games in Carolina because of it. But they were trying those things. They knew what they had to do.
Yeah. Right. Well said.
Makes sense, yeah. Love it. Love it. All right, so here's my last topic for you guys.
Uh-oh.
Hit me.
I mean, it's not really a big deal to talk about, but it's just something for fun here at the end. I mean, we're nowhere near out of this Carolina series, as we've already spoken to, but let's say, the Bruins do make it to the Eastern Conference Final this year. Out of the teams in the other bracket, who's the one that you'd want to see in the Eastern Conference Finals out of all of them?
Oh,
for me, that's easy.
For me, it's easy too.
You know, I live in the heart of Toronto Maple Leaf country.
Oh,
so,
no, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that.
I just want to see the Bruins beat them.
Yeah, don't.
Another time. In Game 7, in overtime.
Yeah, no, thank you. My heart can't take that, A. And B, I don't know. I have a...
Listen.
Toronto's scary to me right now. I honestly am more scared of Toronto than I am of Tampa at this point right now.
No.
Yes.
I'm not. I'm always afraid of a goalie that can win a series. To me, it's as simple as that. I'll tell you what I live with. I'm just going to read you one text message that I got from my cousin who lives in Toronto. And
my cousin from Toronto.
Her and her husband are major Toronto Maple Leaf fans. At 10:33 p.m. after Game 1. What a game. That's what she said. Wow. And when the Bruins were down 4-1 going into the third period, what year was it again?
2013.
Yeah, 2013. I bet you 100 text messages. The Leafs won, the Leafs won. I didn't respond to any of them. When the Bruins won it, I just replied back to all. What was that again?
That's awesome. Tom with a quiet troll. I love it.
Well, to answer my question, for me, it's Florida. I'd like to see Florida there.
Yeah, if they can get there.
Yeah, of course, if they can get there.
Yeah, they're having a tough
Washington's
series.
playing them really well.
Yeah, they are.
Really.
I still think Florida's the better team, though.
Well, definitely.
But I think the Bruins can handle Florida.
I don't want to see Toronto because I didn't want to play them in the first round because there's going to be a time that they're gonna win. I mean, they can't be this bad for all this time. So sooner or later they're going to pay the Bruins back, and I just didn't want to see that in the first round this year. So that means I don't want to see it in a conference final.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. I'm like you. I have heart problems and everything like that. So,
well, I don't have heart problems. I
don't either. But just saying.
55 years.
Yeah, I might need to have a defibrillator handy for that one. Yeah, I mean, I'd have to go to Florida, But even if they were at the top of what they're doing, they're not having a great postseason right now. But they could really turn it on too. So yeah, I'd go Florida.
Boy, you two, I'm so disappointed in you. If you guys lived here in Ontario, man, you'd be dreaming for Toronto just to have the opportunity to knock them out again.
Just to walk down the street, though.
Yeah, and then what if it's Toronto that knocks out the Bruins? And then you're walking down the street listening to all of them.
That's the least of my worries, man. That's the least of my worries. It's like to have the opportunity to do it to them again is all I want. But if it happens, it happens. Fantastic. If it doesn't, oh well,
Tom's here for chaos.
I'm here. Remember, controversy sells, buddy.
Exactly.
I will tell you though, the best arena I've ever been in wearing a Boston Bruins jersey, where you've been treated well, and I don't know if it's because it just so happened the area we were in with dozens and dozens of people surrounding us, somebody recognized me, and then all hell broke loose. But was in Ottawa.
Oh,
no, Ottawa. It was amazing. My son took me there for a New Year's game the year before COVID hit, and somebody was like, "Oh, you're Dominic Tiano. You do the OHL stuff." I was, yeah. And then everybody started talking. Never had to buy a drink all night. But then we had to call a cab to get to the hotel because both of us were too pissed to drive. So, yeah, best arena I've ever been to where you could wear a Bruins jersey and be treated like royalty, I guess.
And Mark says Leafs fan in Canada, in my area, are scared to play the Bruins.
And they are. Mark's absolutely right.
Yep. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I'm scared to play them, so it's mutual.
Well, your name is Kevin. It's the Marks. It's the Marks that matter. Mark.
Well, he's scared too.
Mark over there. I don't think Mark said he was scared. He said
no.
on the floor.
I'd rather not.
So there's some fear in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So?
Yeah, I one of these days they're gonna get us. I don't want to be on the recipient end of that, to be honest with you.
They're a
but I'm not like
team.
dead scared.
They got a really good team there.
Yeah.
They scare me. I'm gonna give that due to where it should be done.
Absolutely. And with that being said, boys, I think it's we're coming up on 2 hours, so that's the limit I'd like to go to. So I gotta get this out and get to bed. I gotta be to work at 3 a.m. tomorrow.
I don't have to go to work. I don't have to go to work.
You know what? I'm gonna be DMing you. Hopefully, you leave your notifications on every 15 minutes until 7 a.m.
Why?
I don't know. I just like to bother you.
Oh, fine, but
do it, Mark. Do it.
I've literally worked like almost
8
every
months
day
straight
for like the past I don't know. Frickin', I want to say, what was it, 3-4 weeks? I've worked a lot, and I'm so happy that I have a little tiny break here.
Exactly.
So, I may have a lot of time off this week, so I guess with COVID and some shutdowns in China, we're having problems getting those chips for automobiles. So already we're asking people to take time off this week, and I figure I might take some time off. I mean, the OHL playoffs are going, and I got to get to rinks every other night. So I was going to go to Windsor tonight, but I messaged Kevin there and said, "Hey, what time are you guys starting, and how long are you going for?" I thought, today's a good day to get on here because I love you guys.
That's awesome.
All right, well, that's fun and all, but maybe you should go and get since you have time off, what I want you to do is I want you to get your faux hawk back. Jesus. And I want you to dye it black and gold. All right?
That's awesome.
How much are you paying me?
Nothing. I'll attempt saying Yorgi Yagura.
All right.
Oh shit.
All right, boys. Hey, we gotta close this up. So I do want to mention everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Dom, for coming on the second half. I really appreciate that, and look forward to talking to you more the upcoming week, along with Kevin. We might get back to our Wednesday recording if I don't be exposed to anything anymore.
We gotta switch to Thursdays at some point, though.
Oh yeah, Thursdays. That's right. So we'll be doing that. But to wrap this up, I do want to mention that we do have a Patreon campaign going on. And if you go to, let me highlight this. If you go to patreon.com/Black and Gold Hockey Podcast and you donate $1 to the information below, you'll be entered to win weekly prizes. As mentioned, we got signed pucks from, this is Mr. 16, the Turk, and, Eddie Johnston and so on. But you're also entered to win into these hand-signed jersey giveaways, fully authenticated. I said it. And it's all signed by the real former players and so on. This is only for $1. We give these away once a month. We'll be giving this away later on this month. Terry O'Reilly is the May jersey giveaway. So real simple. We take half of your dollar. We pay the bills here at the Black and Gold Hockey Podcast Sports Media Company, and the other half goes into all these giveaways to make everybody happy and say thank you for your contributions. We truly appreciate that. And Mark McDonald, who has been in here for the duration of this program, won the Jerry Cheevers jersey, and I'm going to be sending that to him up in New Brunswick sooner or later. So,
good Canadian boy.
You should see this guy's beard. I mean, I swear to God, it's down on the floor. Awesome. I swear to God. And he's got to be at least 5 to 6 feet tall. Yeah, he's like
anywhere between 5 to 6 feet tall.
Yeah, I'm serious. Listen, I got to get a picture of this, and I'll send it. I'll show it to you on the next live stream.
Awesome.
It's pretty impressive. The guy.
Dom, you should grow your faux hawk that long.
That's funny.
I'm not.
You guys kill me.
Wait. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, that's the grandson. I love it.
Yep. That's
awesome.
him laying on my lap watching the Bruins.
That's awesome. That's how you freaking train kids to love hockey.
Yeah.
All right, boy.
It hurts when he jumps up when the Bruins score.
Yeah, it's almost like Winston when you hear something at the door. All right. But anyway, again, thank you everybody for the support. We truly appreciate the shares, the retweets, everything that you guys do. It's all been amazing. Don't forget to sign up for Patreon. We would truly appreciate that. I would appreciate sending you guys something Bruins related and hand signed for your fan cave. So get on board on that if you'd like. But until then, we're going to probably go till next Wednesday and get another program in here. Hopefully, we'll be talking about going into the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. But let's crawl before we run. We got a 3-game series to wrap up here against the Carolina Hurricanes. So until next week, I'm host Mark Allred. That's Kevin O'Keefe, and that's Mr. Dom Tiano. Thank you very much, everybody. Take care. Happy Mother's Day, and peace out. Thanks again for tuning in and supporting this week's episode of the Black and Gold Hockey Podcast. Please give the show a 5-star rating and write a review on listening platforms such as Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts. If you'd like to contact the show for advertising opportunities or to send us a question or topic idea we should be discussing, please send us an email to blackandgoldproductionsllc@gmail.com. Don't forget to share our program on your social media platforms with other hockey fans and follow our Twitter accounts at Black and Gold Pod, at BNG Productions, at Black and Gold 277, and at Kevin_O'Keefe89. Also, please don't forget to check out our official blackandgoldhockey.com website where we cover the Bruins organization from the NHL level down to the prospects worldwide. Peace out.